Okay, so Mishlei 14:5. I wrote in the teaser that this may be the most obvious looking pasuk I've ever seen, which is saying a lot because I've seen a lot of pasukim. Yeah. Oh, yeah, sure. Yeah.
Trustworthy.
Okay. Aid. I think Ezra wanted to read.
Sure.
Aid emunim lo yichazev v'yafiach kazavim eid shaker. Yeah. Go ahead.
Trustworthy witness.
So it is interesting. It says aid emunim, right? So I think the noun is singular. It is strange that it's emunim though.
Will not lie.
Will not lie.
And the breath of liars.
Okay, so yafiach either means to breathe, one who breathes, or one who speaks. That's what Mishlei says. Yeah.
Is a false witness.
Is a false witness. Okay, so a trustworthy witness will not lie, and one who breathes or speaks lies is a false witness. And it's funny. It's funny because it doesn't even switch. It doesn't even use synonyms for kazav here. Right? Like you would expect. Right? There's like a lazy puzzle. Okay, so right. So Mishlei says yafiach is dibur. In fact, I actually want to check out the shoresh here. Because I do think it's a machlokas in what the actual shorish is, perhaps. Because like breathe is vayipach be'apap nishmas chaim, right? But I'm just not 100% sure what the shorish is. It might be a machlokas in shorish, or it might just be two different ways to take the word. Let's see here. Yafiach. Okay, so puach is to breathe or blow. Okay. Puff, snort, breathe out, or utter. Okay, fine. So I guess it is the same thing. Yeah, piach kivshan, right? Like the vapor, okay, or the smoke. Yeah, okay. Sadigon said, all right, that takes care of that. Mitsudos. Sadigon says, I don't know if this is going to help. Ha'ed hane'eman humish eno mashakir. All right, this is slightly helping. Okay, the trustworthy witness is one who doesn't falsify. Okay, v'hamadaber kazavim, but one who speaks lies, who a checker is a false witness. So this is slightly better, right? Well, he is saying that the first half is like defining, right? It's saying that trustworthy witness is one who doesn't falsify, as opposed to ours is just even vaguer than that. And then the second half, doesn't help as much. He does say medaber though, so he's saying not breathe, but speaks. Okay, Targum I think is going to just be straight up. Sahada mehimna, a trustworthy witness. Lo mechazev v'dimalel kadvusa, one who speaks kazav. Sahada riglahu. Okay, so that's an interesting thing. Sahada rigla, anyone know what that is?
Regular.
No.
Common.
Yeah, right.
I'm going to double check this. I think that rigla is from Meragel. But let's see here. Lahav. Waiting for the gastro.
Shekels?
It
was an intermission, huh?
Okay. Intermission.
What's this resource?
This is the Jastro that you can type in and it'll show up. Yeah.
New?
No, it's been around for a while. It's just easier than looking through everything.
Another Jastro site I used.
Rigla. Yeah, I know. I also used to use the other Jastro site. Rigla. Huh.
On the last page.
Yeah, on the
No, I got top left.
top left.
It's already like the end of the.
Oh, this is so slow. Lead to a custom. I'm gonna try. I don't think this is gonna work, but I'm gonna try it with a yud. Rigla. No. Rigla. Oh, Jastro. Yeah. All right. I thought this was like actually no, that's not gonna help us either. All right, fine. All right, so let's just leave it as a question mark. I'd rather not stake our lives on a target that we don't understand. All right. Malbim says in the Biur Hamilos, Malbim says yafiach. Now again, this is Malbim, so this is take this with a grain of Malbim. Is hold on, Malbim says yafiach hu hadibur habilti nishlan. Okay, is what is there an English word that captures speaking in a imperfect or not fully formed way?
Articulate.
Yeah, but a verb. Trying to think if there's an equivalent English word. I'll just write it down. Yafiach equals speech which is not complete or perfect. Musing, I mean, that music is more for the for in your head. Yeah. Okay. R scroll, one who will not deceive is a trustworthy witness. Okay, so R scroll is also taking a firm stance here. One who will not deceive. Does that fit into the Hebrew? He will not. That works out. But the spouter of deceptions is a false witness. Okay, a spout is good as well. Spout. Okay, living nach, which I had to go through because Hirsch doesn't even bring this down. Trustworthy witness will not lie, same as our scroll, while someone who tells lies is a false witness. Okay, that's not so useful. And alter, this is going to be funny. Trustworthy witness does not lie, but the lying deposer is a false witness. Commentary of alter, this is one of those proverbs that verges on tautology, right? Which is can't agree with him there. Isaac.
Are we doing questions then?
Yeah, let me just move this around. Hold on here. Okay, yeah, questions.
First off, Ariel's question.
Yeah.
No.
Oh, you got a little. Okay, all right.
Yeah.
Okay, I'm gonna attribute this to Ariel. He's the first one in the history of the Jews to come up with it. Who? This pasuk is obvious.
I have a different way of asking.
Oh,
question. I thought it was great.
Okay, so you'll be up next. Let's go to Isaac's. Isaac's.
Question,
Yeah.
Yeah. What's the context?
Okay, what is the context or scenario? Yeah, right. So the anytime you see a pasuk with witnesses, then your mind automatically goes to court case or court proceedings. But then the question always is this limited to that, or is this some other venue of testimony? Yeah, Ariel, what was your superior way?
Either Shlomo and Noah thinks we're really smart trying to figure this out because it's so obvious, or we think we're really dumb. Because it's so obvious.
Okay, that was very creative. You got creativity points. Yeah,
Okay.
not gonna write it down though. Yeah, David.
I noticed that the cause and effect, if you may, are switched between the first half and the second half. Is that intentional?
The cause and effect. By cause and effect, do you mean like subject and predicate?
Well, yeah, for sure.
Right. So edemunim, subject, will not lie, and right. Oh, that's an interesting observation here. Right. So is there a reason beyond style that the subject predicate order is reversed in this pasuk? Yeah, that is a good stylistic observation. Yeah, Ariel?
What are the parameters of lying?
Okay, yeah. So let's actually broaden that. Hold on a second. Yeah. So let's we can actually just ask that straight up. So what is the definition of kazav in this context? And what are the parameters? Right? Yeah. Yeah. What is the definition of emunim? And I think we have to ask another question here. What are the parameters? And then why is emunim plural, right? If aid is singular. Right. So in other words, aid, how do you say a trustworthy witness normally? Aid ne'eman, right? So why not aid ne'eman, right? So this is really a witness of trustworthinesses. Okay, I guess that would be the most literal thing. Yeah. That might spark an idea. Yeah, Ezra?
Trustworthy witness is not exactly the opposite of a false witness. It's like a witness telling the truth.
Okay. How are the two halves opposites, right? Trustworthy witness isn't exactly the opposite of a false witness. Yeah. Yeah, Ezra?
It's an observation, not a question.
Yeah.
But 8 emunim sounds like Talmid Chachamim.
Oh, yes, that was what would spark my my thought here. Yeah, so let me actually tack that on to the just for those who aren't in the know. Okay, the common way to expand the acronym, or not the acronym, the Rosh Tevos of Tav Ches is Talmid Chacham, which you would translate as a wise student. But if you look in the good Rambams, then he always expands it. I guess the tradition there was Talmid Chachamim, which I think is a much better description because it means a student of the wise, which means that it's putting the emphasis on the fact that who do you learn from, and not necessarily what your achievement is intellectually, but the fact that you learn from other people. So this would be a witness of trustworthy people, right? So let me actually just incorporate this here. Does this even mean trustworthy witness? Perhaps it means witness of those who are trustworthy, which would be it would be that's a check in the not obviousness camp, but also what what would that mean? Yeah, David.
Why yafia? Because I mean, versus
Yes.
one who says one time is enough. You've already achieved being a false witness. It's a little overkill. You're time and time again doing this to somebody.
Yeah, right. Okay, so what is the definition of yafiach kizavim in this context? And I'm going to split this into two questions. What's the definition, and then however you interpret. Oh, actually, no, this is not here. Hold on. It's supposed to be down here. Okay, however you interpret yafiach kazavim, it seems to be referring to more than one instance. Okay, so why is that the requirement to be an age checker, right? Is that your question? Because I'm age checker.
I mean, okay, yeah, I wasn't even thinking necessarily that's what defines age checker, which it is kind of.
Okay, so what were you asking?
To me, it just sounds like, if you're going to take it that either way, one who is yafiach kizavim is an age checker, and one who's an age checker is yafiach kizavim in both directions. It just seems it seems like one should be enough.
Okay, so I'll ask this in a general way. How is that I guess level of repeated offense necessary for this association to age checker? Yeah, Ariel.
Yeah.
Yeah, I will.
Why is it limiting it to just a case of witness? I mean, why not just say a trustworthy man will not lie? I mean,
okay. Yeah.
Of course, witness will be included in that.
Yeah. Okay. So I will ask this here. So why limit this to an aid?
And is it true? Just because you're trustworthy, does that mean you'll never lie? I mean, are there cases where you're supposed to lie?
Yeah. Hold on. Aid emunim. Why not in ish emunim, which we see Mishlei say sometimes? Yeah. And then what was the other question? Is
I mean, is it true? Meaning, not is it true? I mean, aren't there cases where it's better to lie?
Okay, so I'm not. I'm not.
Say ishimunim, then yeah.
Yeah, I also am not bothered by questions like that. Every Mishlei pasuk is going to have exceptions, and I think that'll be covered in what is the context or scenario. Yeah, okay. Yeah, David.
Why does the trustworthy witness have to be defined in the negative of not being a liar? It seems like kind of the default is he's a liar and he's just not that.
Okay, I think we actually need a broader question here, which is this defining aid emunim and age checker?
Yeah.
The age checker, or is it describing? Right, because if it's defining, now what was your question again? If it's defining it, then
either way, I mean, I would still just ask that the aid emunim is framed as the not lying versus the liar is just lying. Okay. Which seems potentially to be saying what the default is, but either way, it just seems weird to put one as a definition of just not being the opposite of what it is.
Okay, if it's defining, then why is the aid emunim being defined by not lying, right? For example, you can say, what if you have someone who is a very, very, very guilty conscience individual who won't lie, but he's really bad at observing stuff, right? So does that mean he's gonna be reliable? Right? What if this person doesn't lie for other reasons, but is not a reliable witness? Yeah. Yeah, Ezra.
Looks like
I mean, yeah. I'm sorry. I just got a weird. I don't think I've ever had two Ezras here, and I wasn't sure who I meant. Yeah, yeah, Koffel. Yeah.
What's the Mishlei consequence of this being
Right.
checker? And what's
Yeah.
the Mishlei value of being an
Okay, right. What are the Mishleic benefits and consequences here? Yeah. Vader? Yeah.
Similar to Kevin's question, but it seems like the first half is telling you something about a trustworthy witness, namely that he won't lie. The second
Yeah.
half is telling you about a liar, namely that he
Ah,
won't lie.
okay, yeah, that's a great way to expand on David's question here. What did I do the subject predicate thing? Here. Yeah, thanks. Yeah, thanks for referring to the number. Yeah. Are we to infer that the first half is where did the murder take place? Over there. Yeah, is telling us something about the Edamunim, right? Whereas the second half is telling us something about the Yafiach Kizavim, not about the Eid Sheker. Yeah. Yeah.
What's the subject of the pasuk?
Yes. What is the
And what's the
subject?
finish?
Well, we got the what is the Kiddush, right? That's the obvious. What is the
Right.
subject of the pasuk? Hey, Isaac.
Yeah, I think I have an approach.
Oh, okay. All right. There's one question which is a side question that would just be nice if we can answer. Is that in our Monday night Mishlei shiur? I think it was in, yeah. So I'm not even gonna write this one down. I just wanted it to be on our radar. 12:17. Yafiach emuna yagid tzedek ve'echikari mirma. This is one example, but you have a lot of other pasukim that talk about witnesses and spouting. And so just I don't remember what we said here, but if we have time and I have notes, it'd be nice to just compare this to
I don't remember it.
what we said. Yeah, yeah. And this wasn't so long ago. This must have been right before the summer.
Yeah, but
I know. Yeah, we don't
I mean,
remember.
it's not like a month. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. Did you have another question?
I was gonna say on that pasuk, it's also interesting that the Yafiach is going on the Amuna.
Yes.
The sheker.
Yeah, right. Yeah, I feel like this one, I don't know. This one feels, even though this also feels obvious, I don't know. Somehow it feels like when you see Yafiach Emuna, that raises a question. What does that mean? And it doesn't feel like quite as obvious. It feels like there's more potential for a Kiddush here in ours. Yeah. Okay. Any other questions that we missed? Who is the intended audience, right? Who is the audience here? Okay. I'll say what is the practical application. And again, this is gonna just to expand on this here, is this talking to the person who is in a position to be a witness, or is this talking about a judge who's evaluating it? Is this talking about like if we're beyond the courtroom? Are we talking about just like if you hear someone testify about something, in some other context? You have another question?
No, I'm just.
Okay, yeah.
thinking.
I just want to make sure that we didn't miss anything here. Yeah. Okay, Isaac, what's your approach?
Yeah.
Yeah.
This is talking to someone who's evaluating witness testimony, and the
Evaluating
mistake
testimony.
is not appropriate. Yeah, and the mistake is not properly taking into account the witness character.
Okay. Good.
Good. I think there's a phenomenon of someone saying, "Oh yeah, this guy has been trustworthy in the past." Like we've seen that he testified and it turned out that what he was saying was true, but maybe he's lying this time.
Mhm.
And then the flip side also, the second half is that this guy who's like he breathes lies, like he lies all the time, but maybe this time he's telling the truth.
Okay. Right.
And saying no, the Edamunim will not lie, and the Yafiach Kazavim is a false witness.
Yeah. Okay. Good. So I have a great example of this, but this is talking to someone who is in a position to evaluate testimony, and this is warning him to take into account the character of the witness. If someone is generally trustworthy, then you should assume they won't lie. And if someone is a habitual liar, you shouldn't say, well, maybe they're telling the truth here. Now, I don't know if this this alone satisfies my chidush barometer or chidush meter here, but I do want to give an example of this. I mean, I think this is a good example. Is all the news outlets, relying on Hamas to say that Israel bombed a hospital, like look at the track record here of these, the track record. Not even if you don't look at the character, if you just look at the track record, then you should at least question this here. But obviously that didn't play out. So the question. Go ahead.
I'll just say also that Eid Emunim is someone who is a witness of trustworthinesses, meaning that he has a track record of being that one.
Okay.
As opposed to like, oh yeah, you can trust this guy,
Okay, and Eid Emunim does not mean trustworthy people. You're saying like trustworthy reports?
Yeah.
Okay. Eid Emunim or trustworthy observations, whatever, means someone who has a track record of reporting, of giving honest reports, giving accurate reports. Okay. I'll first take additions or comments on this. Yeah, David.
Mine is also, for what Isaac is saying, I think you can also then apply this for the person himself who's going to be giving this testimony.
Yeah.
That if you want to ever be trusted, you have to be someone who's trustworthy in general. If you know that something's going to happen at some point, you really want to convey. Yeah. If people take this advice, they're never going to listen to you unless you make sure up until through this point, you are being trustworthy. Yeah, that's good. Okay, I have a very, very, very. I'll write this down. I'll give my not best example of this, but what happened, David? No, I've got other Davids now. Davids, yeah, you're not the only one. David says, what was I going to say? This might also apply to the would-be witness. If you ever want to be relied upon, you need to make sure that your track record is spotless. This is my in certain venues of multiplayer Magic the Gathering. So my strategy is whenever I'm making threats or when I'm saying stuff, I say I don't bluff. And if as long as I'm consistent with that, then people can take my threats seriously. That I'm not, it's an interesting strategy. Okay, you want to comment on this or a different idea?
I have a branch off from.
Okay. Yeah.
Well, do you have comment on this?
Kind of. I was going to say something about the emunim part.
Sure.
I was going to say that meaning emunim is contrasted from the lies, where someone who has to tell the truth, if they're consistently telling the truth, you can assume they're not going to lie because for a lie, as soon as you tell one lie, you're known as a liar, and it totally ruins your credibility. Yeah. With someone who's telling emunim, it means he's always telling the truth. So he's someone who it's not in his character to lie, so you would never assume that he would.
Okay, I feel like I'm coughing. Still recovering. Say it one more time. I feel like I got half of it, but not enough to write. Yeah.
Meaning, if someone who's an Eid Emunim, someone who's telling the truth, if they're known as telling the truth, it means that they're always telling the truth.
Okay.
And that they're consistently telling it. But someone who even tells a lie, I guess even tells a few lies, is known as a liar. Meaning, even if a lot of what they're saying is the truth, if there are some lies there, they're just known as a liar.
Okay, so in other words, the I'm gonna just write the nafkamina case. Even if a person has told many truths, that reputation can be ruined by the telling of lies. But in other words, that's gonna win out, right?
Right.
Yeah. So how does that play out in the pasuk?
Meaning the Eid Emunim, someone who's constantly telling truths, meaning all of their saying that's what I was saying. The emunim is plural.
Yeah.
That the whole point is that's all they're saying. But the afiach kizavim shakar, as soon as someone's saying lies, they're assumed to be an shakar.
Okay.
I mean, it's like in Taking Fast and Slow.
Yeah.
There's like people weigh the bad deeds someone does like 5 times more than good deeds they do. So if they do like 1 bad deed for every 5 good deeds, people assume that they're bad.
Okay. Of any lies indicates a liar. Yeah. Yeah.
All right, so I was thinking like the first the approach.
Yeah.
The same approach as evaluating witness, but I'm more focused on a specific, testimony.
Mhm.
Where you're identifying a testimony, and I think that a trust.
So meaning that you're in the position of someone who's judging it.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah. The position of judging, but not like the Gabra as a whole, but this specific testimony.
Okay.
Right. And it may have a reflection on him, but
yeah.
But like if someone who's trustworthy, like everything he says, like will just naturally fit into place. It's almost like a stream of truth that there's no hesitation in his speaking. There's nothing. There's like no inconsistencies. There's no breaks in his words. It's like it's the truth. It's like there's nothing. If it's the truth, you're just naturally gonna just say everything that's makes sense.
Okay.
There's no right.
Yeah.
But the second half of the pasuk, it's almost like someone's a false witness. If he's testifying on the case and he's lying about it, then there will be inconsistencies. But also, it's not just the inconsistencies; it's also how he says it. It's almost like there are like he every time he breathes. It's like every time you breathe, it's like a break in the testimony. It's like or like he's spouting truths or lies here and there, and it's almost like an inconsistent. It's not like a natural flow of the.
Okay, I think I like the approach more than like the general approach more than the interpretation. So let me just say what I'm hearing, and then meaning you're saying that this pasuk is really about identifying. So Isaac's or this whole approach we've been taking until now is when you're not evaluating based on the content, you're evaluating based on the person, or their history. You're saying that you're identifying it based on the manner of how they are saying the content. And I like that the way that people are going to tell the truth is going to like the manner in which they're giving that testimony is going to be different than the manner in which they're lying. I'm not entirely convinced that is a good litmus test all the time, and I'm also not sure I see it in the pasuk because it sounded like, what I thought you were saying. I was like, as you were talking for the first half, I was like, oh, that would be a good description of yafiach emuna, of like just like you're telling the truth in just this normal, natural, breathing way. But yeah.
So just to answer why it's plural emunim, like the way you can test this out is just go research how other people who are trustworthy speak, and you'll see a pattern.
Oh, okay. So that I like. That I like. Is that okay?
That's how.
Okay. All right. So let me take down so far what I hear that I'm liking, which is this pasuk is about how to evaluate testimony based on the manner in which it is conveyed.
Oh yeah. Okay. I have a 1 sentence summary.
Yeah.
It's finding a model and how to evaluate, and the model is do research on trustworthy people on the
okay. Someone who has an aid emunim. Okay, an aid emunim. Someone who has witnessed a lot of people who are telling the truth. Will so the one thing that doesn't quite work out, it's saying that he will not lie.
What?
Eid emunim lo yichazev.
Eid emunim lo yichazev.
So I understand your definition of eid emunim, but why do we need to be told that he won't lie?
Well, if you're doing research with someone who is not lying, meaning like not lying is a reflection of how they speak, of how they go through their process. Like if you do research with someone who doesn't lie, then you just know his character and his demeanor and like the flow of how he speaks.
Well, let me give you an analogy or an example that was coming to mind. I don't know when this genre started, but there's a genre on YouTube of like lie detector tests. Like people like taking lie detector tests, and somehow it's very captivating to like watch. I'm sure the people who administer the lie detector tests do get a very, very like they develop a very, very honed intuition about like reading signals and stuff like that, right? So let's take the guy who's administered this lie detector test. So he is an aid emunim. He's been a witness to many people who are telling the truth. Okay.
Yeah.
But what does that guarantee about whether he will lie when he testifies?
Whether he will lie when he could cheat the system.
Yeah, that's but the chiddush of the pasuk is saying he will not lie. Right. Yeah.
I understand like aid emunim to be like the same but different. That like you're kind of like an understudy for like these really trustworthy people.
Yeah.
Where like all you see is people like just telling the truth every 8 opportunities they have.
Yeah.
Where like you're like almost like inculcated into you this like value of like just
yeah. Right. Okay. So that I think is okay. So I like the subject that you're identifying here.
When you say he will not lie, what do you? What's that question?
Whoever the pasuk is talking to or about.
Okay.
It's the same subject. Aid sheker has to be the same subject as lo yachazev. Sorry, aid emunim. Yeah. You're saying a guy who witnesses truth will be good at detecting truth, but that's not what the pasuk is saying. The guy who witnesses truth will be good, will himself not lie. Yeah, right. So I think it's my intuition is telling me you got two good ideas mixed in there. You just gotta like separate them. But I just want to explore Ezra's for a second here. Ezra, okay, which is that a person who, let's say, like is immersed in an environment of honest people can be relied upon not to lie, right? Like, yeah, I mean, I won't name names, but like, I think there are a lot of people in this community that I could just never envision like them lying. And like the kids who are like, there are kids who, what do they say? Don't they say that about, they say that about Rachel, right? That she was raised in Lavan's household. Am I making this up? That like when she lies about the Trophim, right? That like there's some midrash. I don't want to spread like lashon hara about Rachel, but about like how, because she does lie to Lavan, and it's for a good reason or whatever. But like it's some I feel like I've read people say that like she picked it up from him, like she knows how to lie from but in other words, like there you could see in someone grows up in a household where people are always like putting up a false front or like giving off certain impressions to this audience or that audience. They might end up not necessarily even intentionally lying, but like saying false things because they're so used to like treating the truth as this malleable thing. Whereas if you grow up in an environment where truth is like sacrosanct, then you won't mess with it. So let me just person who's immersed in an environment of honest people can be relied upon not to lie. Whereas someone who yafir kazavin. So now the question is, how is that the opposite, right?
I guess you would treat yafiach to be someone like they breathe, they spout, like without thinking, similar to yafiach and Luna and the other pasuk.
If it's breathes, it could mean like they're breathing the same air, that they're like,
Oh, that's nice. That's nice and poetic. Yeah, someone who breathes lies, right? Okay, which we're saying here is like is totally immersed in an environment of lying. Okay, I'll give an example in a second. Can be presumed to testify falsely. Like I think there are certain cultures where certain types of lying are acceptable. For example, and I'm not saying this to like totally trash people who are from the UK, but that's a culture where like you lie about how you're feeling for the sake of politeness, and like even something like that, or let's say like in Japan also, like there's certain like cultural standards. I'm not even talking about like malicious lies, where it's just part of the air that you breathe, where you just like you say things for purposes other than telling the truth. And so if you're in that environment, you can't necessarily trust this person to testify truthfully, even when there's great weight to the testimony. Like what if this person is just not what if you're in a culture where like you don't say things that are perceived as disrespectful to your elders, so you lie in order to like not offend your elders, and then you put that person in a courtroom and they're not going to tell the truth in front of the judge because that is going to mess with their thinking. Yeah.
How did Isaac answer that question?
Well, according to Isaac, then the first it's all about the witness.
All about the
right.
witness.
You're saying that the first two words are about the judge, and the second two were, like it's.
So let's say it's fully about the witness.
So if it's fully about the witness, then you have to modify your first half, right? That if it's about the witness, a guy who. So then I'm back to my question of if I'm a lie detector test manager, and I've witnessed a bunch of people who are speaking truthfully.
Yeah.
How does that guarantee that I'm not going to lie? Yeah.
Have a different
Sure.
approach.
Yeah.
So I'm thinking about this in the context of Rebbe's cyanide proof.
Yeah.
Which is that the witness won't lie, meaning that even if they tell you something that's completely absurd,
Yeah.
that doesn't fit within your mental framework, that you should trust it because it's coming from somebody who has a valuable track record.
Yeah.
Versus somebody who is constantly lying, even if they're telling you the most simple thing, that you should be very, very skeptical of it because that's their track record. It's somewhat of a modification of Isaac's, but it's a little bit of a
okay. Yeah. So I'm gonna go ahead and just add what I'm hearing the chiddush to be, which is that that this principle holds true even if the particular fact they're reporting sounds like totally unbelievable. Yeah. Right. Yeah, that's good. Yeah, David.
I think this is different. Because it should also be talking about like the simple like convenience of telling truth versus the lack of or like the difficulties of when you don't tell truth. And when you tell truth, you're able to stay consistent and things work out well because truth stays consistent. When you're lying, it's going to constantly, you're going to have to make up a new lie to cover up the old lie, to cover up the old lie, and it's going to like keep building itself up and we don't be destructive.
Yeah.
Nothing.
Okay, so how does that fit into the words?
That one who starts off and is saying things truthfully, he's not going to be lying. The truth is going to work for him. He could just keep saying the truth. Whereas one who starts off with saying lies, he's going to build himself up, having to just like put his word in it, and like if you want to spend like Egypt of like having to like strongly affirm, swear on his word that's false, and that his swear on his word that is false, and that's going to wind up with bad Mishlei consequences.
I feel like that's a true Mishlei idea, but I feel like it's I'm hearing it as being shoehorned in. I'm not seeing it flowing naturally from this, especially for the second half.
Okay.
Yeah. There's potential there. Yeah, Ezra Fader.
I have an idea, but I don't know if it's true.
Okay.
I think in general, people think that there are two categories of like telling the truth and lying. One is in regular life, and one is in court. And people think in court, like someone would have thought that in court it's very different. Somebody could lie in general or could tell the truth, but in court he's gonna be extra careful and he's gonna really be worried about it and not lie. Yeah. But it's telling you that somebody who's a trustworthy witness, even in regular life, he's not the type of person who's gonna lie. But even it's not because of the court itself which is gonna make him tell the truth. Yeah. And at the same time, somebody who lies in general, just because he's like swears on an oath or anything, he's not gonna lie, isn't gonna change the fact that he's gonna lie. Okay. I like that idea, and I think the greater chiddush really is in the second half there. Yeah. But I like that, and I feel like there are meforshim who say that, so I guess we'll find out. But which is people tend to have two standards for lying and truth telling, informal and official, right? The pasuk is teaching us that if a person is a truth teller in informal contexts, then they can be relied upon to tell the truth in an official capacity. Okay,
Okay, so that's like not as much of a chiddush, which it would be nice if we could get a more of a chiddush there. But then likewise, if a person is a liar in their personal life, don't assume that if they're under oath, that they'll tell the truth. Okay, I'm gonna add here, like, it's possible that they'll testify falsely, okay, either because they can't help themselves, okay, or because they don't sufficiently respect the truth, or because the truth is so malleable in their minds that they won't even record the truth properly when they witness when they witness what they're witnessing. Okay, yeah.
So just for the first half,
Yeah.
I was saying a little bit differently. Is
Sure.
that it's talking about one thing that Ada Munim, somebody who is trustworthy.
Yeah.
You might think that since even though he's trustworthy in general, in an informal context, maybe he will lie.
Okay.
It's telling you that no, somebody who's a trustworthy witness also is not going to lie in informal context.
Okay, so and that's probably you're not sure it's true. Okay, all right, I get it. All right,
I
so
think that is what it's saying, for instance.
okay, yeah. Hold on just a second here. So in official context, then they can be relied upon to tell the truth in an informal context as well.
Right, meaning like it's based upon your character, and the situation really isn't going to affect that much whether you tell the truth or not.
Right. Yeah. Yeah, I think that's a valid question. By the way, just methodologically speaking, I found that it is a very good move. I mean, I think we're more familiar with this in Gemara of like you set aside the thing of like, is this crazy? Is this true? And you just say what you're seeing and say what the facts are saying. And I found that many long-standing problems in learning sometimes are just solved by just saying I'm gonna take this wherever it leads, and we're just gonna see, and I know Pesach used to tell the anecdote when I was in a shiur about how he when he was in shiur and he was learning how to learn, he said he had a chavrusa who was very bad for him because whenever Rav Pesach would start coming up with an approach, the chavrusa would shoot it down with like a kushya, and like point out, well, there's a problem here. And Rav Pesach was saying how like that's not how thinking should proceed. Like there's a time to raise the problems with it, but you have to let the intuition develop. Spoiler alert for this week's. I finished the article early, my Friday article. I'm very happy. The first time I ever finished it early. And there's a question that's been bothering me every year for as long as I can remember, which is why doesn't the Torah tell Avram's backstory? Okay, right? Is you just get out of nowhere God talking to him, So the seed that the answer, I found an answer. I developed an answer on my own, and then I found someone who said it. But the seed from which the answer sprouted was that move, which is all of this time I've been trying to like say, the Torah needs to tell the story, and why doesn't it? So I had this thought of like, what if the Torah didn't need to tell the backstory? Like, can I take that approach? And like that's what opened it up the area. Yeah.
All right. I think I have an answer.
Okay.
Okay. So,
For the question I had on yours.
Yeah. So I think if someone is witnessing another witness, and assuming he is a judge and he's actually constantly involved, or he's like an FBI, someone who's like always interrogating someone. Like, he's in the system. He sees it firsthand. Someone lies and someone's telling the truth. The consequences of both. And because he's immersed in that world, like he'll be extra cautious to not fall in the trap of lying because he knows firsthand that that's a consequence.
Yeah.
And you don't necessarily have to be someone in that world. You could just be an observer. You could just be in the stand and you're watching, what's happening.
Yeah.
Like, I don't want to be that guy.
Right. Okay. Okay. Yeah, I can buy that. And then the second half was saying if you have eight shiur. Remind me again what you were saying for that.
Well, that's just. I was just saying that that's a tool you use to know to know someone who is lying. I mean, the whole pasuk is about finding a tool to determine whether someone's lying or not.
Yeah, but what is it saying? One who spouts falsehood, lies is a false witness. Let's think about it for tomorrow. Okay, so all right, I like these approaches. These are good. This does satisfy the chiddush thing. Yes, just really quickly, we have one cluster of approaches here, which is that you have to assess you have to assess the testimony based on your knowledge of the character or the track record, and don't let the content deter you. If you're in doubt about that, or even if it's unbelievable. Then you've got Ezra Koppel's approach, which is about how predisposed someone is to lying or to truth telling based on like their environment. And then Ezra Fader saying that this is really about dissolving the double standard, not double standard is the wrong word, but like the two standards that people have when they look at trustworthiness and lying. You have to realize, like, across the board, like if you're lying in one area, you're gonna be likely to do that in the other area, and same for truth telling. And then Ariel's approach. Yeah. Okay. Very good. Tomorrow we'll see meforshim.
Thank you.
I'll just toss out one more thing.
Sure.
There, depending on the situation, people will say, "Can I believe it?" or they'll say, "Must I believe it?" Which are two different like standards. And I think.
Okay. Yeah, that's a good question. Did you get that from one of your books?
I got it from an article I read. But
okay. Yeah. It sounds like something you would read in one of your books.
That's from Wait, but why? Yeah.
Okay. All right.